Okay, so it is episode 7 of the Illegitimate Scholar podcast. Finally, at 7. Not that that's like an arbitrarily
Mazel tov.
significant cover. Mazel tov. Yeah. Okay, so I am joined tonight by my friend Ben Levine, and he said Mazel tov because he is in fact Jewish.
I am.
And he's my token Jewish friend that I use when I'm accused of being anti-Semitic.
Yeah, pocket Jew.
A pocket Jew.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So first off, damn, what were we just talking about before I started recording?
Nothing that I wanted to repeat on here, actually.
Oh, no shit. Okay. That's fine. No, after the hard R stuff.
Okay. No, we were talking about canine handler in the National Guard. You talking shit about people at school and them talking shit about you, but you don't know who they are.
Right. What I had said was that, like, you know, when I was in college, you know, maybe I was a little bit more inflammatory than I should have been. But in my opinion, you know, I was sharing views that, and I don't think I was disrespectful anymore that other people were, but I think that I have a different way of thinking than a lot of people. And I'm not saying that to say like, oh, I'm so special and different.
You are special.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's why we're friends. You're one of the good ones, bro.
The Jews you're talking about?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That'll be the last one. Wait, it won't be.
You can keep going.
I wasn't going to say anything about
I own the
that.
media. You can't hurt me.
Yeah. But you started with Mazel Tov, and that just made me, like, it opened the floodgates for me. I'm like, oh, we're doing Jew shit now.
Floodgates.
Yeah.
Open
Exactly.
Abraham's
Moses.
floodgates. Yeah,
Moses just let his arms down, and the floodgates came in. But yeah, I was really outspoken when I was in college, and that's what led. And soon I'm going to explain the name Illegitimate Scholar and what it means to me. But I was remembering that a guy who was in my class, he showed me like a group text that he had with other people where there were two people complaining about me and saying that they didn't like me. I think I remember them saying they hated me. I don't remember if that's true or not, but they did not like me, and I asked them who they were, and I didn't know their names. Like I did not know who these people were at all, and I just thought that was the best thing, that like these people who I don't know who they are. They have an opinion,
they know who you are.
But they know who I am, and that felt kind of cool. And I guess that's the same thing with podcasts, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like
it's the same thing with fame or notoriety in general, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So there was something to that where like, and you know, it's not like I liked that people didn't like me. It's that, you know, they had opinions of me, and they were thinking of me enough to text about me, like, and I'm not thinking about them at all. What I thought was cool about
living
that,
in someone's head rent free.
Well, yes, but you know, in a less sinister way, like, you know, I'm out there. I was trying to spread my ideas.
Yeah. And
you know, I didn't think that my ideas were anything bad, but they were against a lot of the times they were against what people in a particular field of college. I think my views were a lot more welcomed in the history and anthropology colleges. Well, they're all liberal arts and sciences, but those what's the word for that?
What?
The frickin'
a niche?
No, like the like a bunch of professors that like history or anthropology. What's the term for that? A frickin'
categories of academia.
Your major, like the different majors, whatever.
Okay.
Like, I didn't feel like that in the history of the anthropology department, that like anybody was like out to get me or anything, or they weren't welcoming my ideas.
Yeah.
But I did feel it in the education school, and I thought that was really weird that they would be the ones who were most against like differing opinions. But my opinions changed after that, and now I think that makes sense. And I'll be discussing the public schools later.
I fucking hate when other people speak in my undergraduate. I'm gonna be honest. It infuriates me.
Really?
Yeah, engineers are just the biggest dweebs.
Come a little bit more towards them.
Sorry.
Right? No, you're good.
Engineers are just like the biggest dweebs.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm in school for engineering. And it's just the worst. Because they're all, like 70% of them are the I know the answer to this plus this kind of kid.
Yeah.
And then they're wrong also half the time, which also
Yeah.
doesn't help their case. It's like, not only do you not know the thing, but you're so outspoken about not knowing the thing.
But
that it's
honestly,
annoying.
man, like, you know, education, it's cooperative with other people, but at the end of the day, like, you probably don't know a lot of these guys, and they're, regardless of what you think of them, they're getting their education, and when they're interacting with the professor more, they're learning more.
No,
100%,
100%.
No, I know. I'm not like arguing with you about this.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's the way I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, no, it's good to be engaged in class. I'm not disputing that in any way. It just helps to have social skills when you do so. So you understand when you're like, you've been talking for 10 minutes, it's like you should let the professor run the class at this point.
Yeah, so there were times when I specifically like would play power games with a professor, and I would, you know, I would talk out of turn and shit.
That's not good for anyone.
Well,
yeah.
When the professor is, I think, acting in a way that's immoral or unethical.
Okay. Well, okay.
That's why I'm doing this. I was doing it, and these are very specific cases. Very, very specific cases.
I see what you're talking about. My guy's only talking about techniques of integration, or, you know, how to measure the voltage of a circuit. So there's no ethics to be spoken of here, you know. I can see how in the sociological,
I get it. So Poindexter has no social skills. I think people would say that I have no social skills, but I don't think a lot of them realize that I knew what I was doing. Like, I was doing certain things on purpose. Like, it was like double layered, but I get what you're saying with nerds.
Yeah.
Talking about nerdy shit for like 10 minutes.
Sometimes I'm a little like, I wish I was a little more on their level.
Like I mean, that sounds a little bit like autism. Not that I am against autism. I love autistic people. I think I've said that before.
That's a can of worms right there.
But isn't, like, we should really look this up to see if it's true, but isn't autism, like, overrepresented in the engineering field?
I don't know. In my classes, it seems to be.
Yeah.
I can't speak to, you know, broadly whether or not it is, but
it just seems like, you know, like, there's a stigma associated with autism, but, you know, it's a diagnosis that represents certain factors of a human being. So it seems like if a human being is different enough to get a diagnosis, then that means that they have a different set of traits on average than other humans. I see what you're saying. So those have to be like...
But I think there's another element to it. I think that a lot of people in my generation also just don't develop good social skills. And I've been blessed with a breadth of opportunities and certain people in my life that have allowed me to develop those social skills that someone who just went through high school and then straight to college might otherwise not have.
Yeah.
So it's not something that's too particular to engineering, because, like, there are people in my engineering classes that are cool guys, cool girls, whatever, that I can talk to, that can hold a conversation. But there's also just a lot of people on college campuses now that can't hold a conversation.
Do you think that's now, or do you think it was always like that? More now.
I think it's more now.
But how do we know? Right? It's like...
I mean... Yeah, right?
But
how do I know? But also, if I can watch a conversation from a university back in, 1990, 1980, it seems like everyone in that video is like a more well-rounded person than the people I'm interacting with today.
They probably were. There's a higher prevalence of a lot of stuff today, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. But I did find this study that says the study found a higher prevalence of autism among mathematics majors compared with students in medicine, law, or social science.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, but I'm sure plenty of those people are not autistic, or they don't fit on the autistic spectrum, and they just don't have good social skills.
Yeah, well, and here's another thing, is autism's defined by not understanding, like, certain social cues and all that,
I think it's more than that. It's just...
Well, it's a spectrum, right? So that's part of it, though,
yeah.
Right?
But there's a lot of different things. That's just one of the things.
So can autism be a result of your experiences? Like, Is it always going to be heritable?
I don't know. I think it's. I think there is something specific with the brain. I think it's inherent. I don't think that it's environmental. At least like the environmental might affect the mother in birthing a child that has autism, but I don't think that it's like you can become autistic.
No, but maybe you can have the same symptoms socially as someone who is autistic.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure there's false positives.
If you just
definitely.
If you just don't pick up on social cues because you weren't socialized well.
But I think if you like, you're not going to get diagnosed with autism, hopefully, if all you have is bad, like not bad, but like if you have a inability to pick up on social cues.
I have no idea. This is beyond me.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't be talking about it. You know what I want to talk about?
What do you want to talk
about? For the third time in 7 episodes? I want to fucking talk about driver's license.
Driver's license, yeah.
Driver's license.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah. And it's going to be a thing. I'm going to talk about driver's licenses forever now. I'm just going to keep bringing them up in as many contexts as
we all got to have them.
Yeah, you're right.
You know,
you have to participate in like American culture.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unless you live in
Manhattan, like NYC, yeah, something like that.
So, what did you have to say about driver's license? Telling me something about some international treaty I didn't know about.
Yeah. I was I was watching a video the other day of a traffic stop. Some guy driving a Lambo, some Canadian guy. And the cop, he's pissed at him for whatever reason. Stopped in the middle of traffic or something.
Is this an American cop or a Canadian cop?
American cop.
This
is in California. Guy. Yeah, this is in California.
The amount of sorries. I'm so sorry, officer.
No, there's no stories because this guy's been through this like a million times. But the cop pulls him over and asks for his license and registration and all that. And he hands him his Canadian driver's license. And the cop is like, what kind of license is this? The guy's like, it's a Canadian license. He's like, you got to have a California license to drive in California.
That's fucking
which is
what?
Obviously ridiculous.
Wait, is this real? You saw a video of this?
Yeah, this is a real traffic stop. Yeah.
So the cop, this cop really thought that you had to have a California driver's license
to drive in California. Yeah, which is
sense.
Obviously fucking
He must have just misspoke.
Sure. I'll give him the benefit of that doubt. But the video goes on to elaborate that, in fact, that is not a problem, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously, as an American citizen with a Connecticut driver's license, I can drive into New York, and there's no problem there, right?
Yes.
I can drive across state lines anywhere I want.
Yes.
Which means obviously the cop is wrong if that's what he meant.
Yeah,
but also,
wrong shit.
But also, a Canadian driver's license is fine in Connecticut. In the United States, because there's a Geneva Convention about this. I don't remember the year.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Precise here.
There's a whole Geneva Convention about countries saying, okay, we need a standard for what constitutes safe driving, and also that somebody has proven that they can drive safely. And there's a whole bunch of countries, I don't know all the names, but Canada was one of them, with the United States. And that's the reason you can use a Canadian driver's license in the U.S. and the U.S. driver's license in Canada, and I'm sure a bunch of other countries also.
So that's like, I mean, that's kind of a globalist thing. It's a globalist thing in the sense that globalism gets talked about a lot with the last few decades. Globalism has really taken over, like having similar things across different countries, like the building styles and things they seem to be like homogenizing,
right?
With like with the internet and these things that bring people close together. But I'm pretty sure that America would still, without, if there wasn't this international treaty that had more countries in it, I bet that the U.S. and Canada would just have their own.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But why? Just because they're neighbors?
Yeah, because there's so much. Okay, we were talking about this before.
Okay.
And we remember, because I was saying that Canadians they formed their entire identity.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you're a Canadian, but I haven't seen a single person in Canada listening to my podcast, so I don't give a shit.
Right. You can say whatever the fuck you want about them.
Right. So as soon as one of you freaking snow Mexicans listens to my podcast.
So, that's Mexico's what I was going to bring up. Does that mean that Mexico and U.S. of course would have an agreement that says that their respective driver's licenses are valid?
Yeah, and I bet we would. But there would probably be U.S., Canada, and Mexico together doing
maybe.
it.
But
like
then
NAFTA.
But then is Mexico valid with who's its southern neighbor? Yeah, putting you on the fucking spot.
Guatemala. I don't know which one is directly south, but
Yeah.
It's Guatemala, El Salvador, one of those.
All the Central American countries, Costa Rica.
Yeah. I don't know if they do or not. Mexico has a problem on their southern border with the things. But, I want to talk more shit about Canadians, though,
That's fair.
before we talk about Mexico.
Yeah.
Canada tries to form their entire identity about not being American because they're basically just Americans in a lot of ways. They all live right along the American fucking border.
Yeah.
Most of them live within like a few miles of the border, and they still have another country's monarch on their money. So they're not really a country.
Who's on their money?
The Queen. Well, was the Queen. Now she's dead. Now they're
Elizabeth?
going to put the King on there. The King of England.
Yeah, that's big sus for Canada.
You don't get to be your own country if you
No,
got
not if your currency's...
another country.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Like, what the hell? I think Australia might still be
It's
like
also,
that,
it's
too.
like they don't use the euro. It's a Canadian dollar. So
Right.
why even...
I mean, England doesn't use the euro either. The UK
Well,
has the pound.
since... Yeah. Is that a Brexit thing or...
No, it was always like that.
Really?
Some countries kept their...
But surely the euro, when they were part of the European Union,
Nope.
the euro was
Not a requirement.
usable there at least.
Nope. Well,
Isn't that the whole point of being a part of the European Union?
Nah, it's more than that. There was a
part
lot of other
it,
stuff.
part of it at least, right?
Well,
Isn't that centralized currency to your like trade agreement?
I think they become like effectively free trade with each other, and they do connect their economies along in a lot of ways. And what's more significant even than using the currency is, the fact that they have like free immigration between all these countries.
Yeah.
But even without adopting the currency, which they chose not to do, their economies were very intertwined. So it's whatever. Hungary also uses their own currency, even though they're in the EU. And I think there's a couple other countries as well.
Mm.
But you know what? We came 18 minutes into this podcast, and you didn't do any sort of introduction of who you are. You don't want to do that.
Okay. My name's Benjamin Aaron Levine II.
Wow, you really did not need to give your full name here. I can bleep that out for you if you want.
Okay.
I'm not going to. I will if you want me to.
You called me Ben Levine already.
Have I really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Can we just make it Ben?
Yeah.
Okay. My name's Ben. I born and raised in Connecticut.
What are your pronouns?
He, him.
I was kidding.
Well, somebody might watch this and wonder. Okay.
Yeah, they might.
And let's see. I'm 25 years old. I joined the Connecticut National Guard when I was 17, back in 2015.
Wait, you're 25?
Yeah.
I thought you were older than that.
No. That's
Okay.
good, though.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. And I'm in school and / have been forever. State school in Connecticut for an engineering degree.
The only other guy on this podcast has been working on... The only other guy that came on this podcast.
Yeah, Rudy.
Rudy, yes. He's been working on a bachelor's degree for 9 years.
Yeah, as have I.
So...
Not 9 years yet, but...
Yeah, you'll get there. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, I'm a junior right now. All right, so if I play my cards right...
You might get there.
Then I might be in there within like... No, I think that'll bring it to 9 years, actually. Fuck.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. He's probably not going to graduate in 9 years, so... Yeah. I'm going to continue to only allow people on this podcast who spent at least 6 years completing.
It's good. I'm more educated than someone that got it in 4 years because I've been in school longer.
I don't think that's how it works.
Well, that's how I'm saying it.
Okay.
So
I'll let you have that.
yeah, I've a breadth of experiences. I've been around the block, you know. I haven't had the hardest time in my 25 years compared to a lot of other people, but it hasn't all been fucking roses and rainbows.
Right. Was it difficult when your people killed Christ?
No, that was the best day of my life, actually. I celebrate it every year.
Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. That was actually, when I said earlier that I was done doing Jewish jokes, I actually didn't say any more until right now.
Well, I knew you were not being earnest in that, you know. I know it's always looming in the back of your head. You're wearing a swastika armband right now.
Okay, look, we don't have video set up yet. Do not pretend.
That's true. That's what's happening. Yeah.
This is not a swastika.
You should see him. He said it was a Charlie Chaplin mustache when I got here.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God. I hope... Do you at least like my shiny boots?
They're well polished.
Appreciate that. The funny thing is I'm actually wearing moccasins.
Yeah, they look cozy, actually.
Glorious moccasins. Yeah, everybody in New England, most people in New England, have a pair of moccasins to wear around the house.
I should get some then.
Oh.
I might be the only guy in New England, apparently.
I had kind of assumed that you had them.
It doesn't have any.
Damn, dude. That's kind of...
No, and you know what? My house does get really cold. Like, the floor gets really cold.
Yeah, it's New England.
Yeah.
We live in wooden rectangles.
Yeah.
With wooden floors.
I also have a cellar underneath.
Yeah.
And it's just all cold air down there.
Yeah, I bet
so
it
my
is.
Floor
Your house is old.
Is frigid.
With a new face, yeah. Okay. Did you have something to say about boat people? Sorry, that's gonna...
From your other episode, the boat people?
Yeah, you had brought them up briefly.
No, I don't know anything about boat people.
All right.
You don't need a boat license, apparently... Do you need a boat? Or apparently it's very easy to get a boat license in the U.S. I don't know. This is a conversation I just had with somebody.
Rudy talked about it. So if you haven't got to that point in the podcast, Rudy brings it up.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think I was like...
I guess you don't need a boat license, but I think it's kind of crazy. But I guess it makes sense. All right. So,
I don't know. There's no traffic laws on a lake, right? There's no traffic on a lake.
No, I mean, well, not a lake, but on the ocean, yeah. Like on
a road, you can only move in one dimension. On a lake, you can move in 2 dimensions.
Oh. I mean, kind of, yeah. Obviously, you can go left to right on a road, but like...
Well, you're still only going on...
Yeah.
You know?
I'm being pedantic. Okay, so what I want to talk about... I want to talk about Kanye.
Okay.
I want to talk about what did Kanye West say and how do you feel as a Jew?
You're going to have to tell me what he said first.
I know. I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, a part of my backstory also, I have been bar mitzvahed and have not practiced Judaism since then. But
it's fine.
My father used to run his business. One of them was...
Come a little bit closer to the mic. You just pull the mic towards you so that wherever's comfortable for you to sit.
But then you can hear like all my breathing and shit. So I have to...
You make people hate me.
I'm
just kidding.
But I mean, Judaism has been a pretty integral part of like my raising, my childhood. So I take all the cons and pros of that comes along with being a Jew.
Yeah.
I accept that burden.
And it's okay that you haven't practiced it because it seems like it's like
it doesn't matter because Muslim people will hate you anyways.
What?
What?
I said because it's like half ethno-nationalism, but what did you say?
I said because Muslim people will hate you anyways.
Yeah. In a lot of cases. Yeah.
I mean, you know.
You think that on average, you think that Middle Eastern Muslim people, because I'm not even going to worry about Southeast Asia, but Middle Eastern Muslim people, you think they hate atheists or Jews more?
Oh, Jews, for sure.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Dude, we're like their number one enemy.
I mean, but like, I think you're generalizing.
We fight over the West Wall.
But like...
we say that
this is the ethno-nationalism we're talking about. You're saying we, but you're an American. But you're saying Israel.
But Jews are like... Jerusalem is our holy land.
Yeah, right. It's
and Muslims are like, that's our holy land.
Yeah.
There's no atheist going, that's our holy land.
Maybe. I'd like to get a Muslim guy on here eventually. Who can I invite on that's a Muslim guy? I should just
admit you have no Muslim friends.
I have Muslim acquaintances.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't talked to Ahmad in a few years, but he's my buddy. I have to bring him on.
What do you really need a Muslim friend for?
Dude, I lived 2 years of my life in Indonesia as a kid. Muslims have been very important in my life. And I'm from Connecticut, so Jews too. There. A lot of Jews in Connecticut. A lot of Jews in the tri-state, New York.
Americans do not understand how few Jews there are.
Yes, because of an outsized cultural influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that Hitler guy. He got pretty close.
There weren't that many before, though.
There's 12 million. He got half of us.
Yeah.
That's pretty substantial.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
That's like if moose populations declined by 50%.
I think they probably have.
Like, I'm an endangered species.
I don't think so, because there's more than 12 million now.
I'm at risk or something, at least. You know, maybe not endangered, but...
I think Ireland lost half their population in the potato famine.
No. Oh, yeah, during the famine. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it didn't recover for, over 100 years.
I mean, a lot of people during the, Black Death and stuff, 30% to certain...
Dude, in Cambodia. Cambodia is the crazy one. Cambodia killed, more than half the people in the
You're talking about, Pol Pot? Or?
Yeah, Pol Pot. That dude was crazy. The life expectancy in Cambodia was, 18.
That's, wild.
Yeah. Kanye.
Yeah. What did Kanye say?
Here's one of the texts. I just want to, everybody wants to say their piece on it. I just want to see what the tweets were. I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. All caps, Jewish people. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic because black people are actually Jew also. You guys have toyed with me and tried to blackball anyone who ever opposes your agenda.
Black people are also Jew. Also.
Right. So he's appealing to the Black Hebrew Israelite theory.
Explain, please.
Okay.
Elaborate.
So I shouldn't speak authoritatively on this, but they're a group of people, and there's varying levels of extremism in it. But they're a group of people. It was, I think, you know what? I'm gonna. So I don't have to share.
This is gonna be your worst episode yet because I'm just fucking dragging you all over the place.
That's okay. This is cultural shit. So I'm just gonna go to the ADL's website. Okay. Key points. Black Hebrew Israelites are not the same as black Jews or Jews of color. Not all black Hebrew Israelite organizations are anti-Semitic or extremists. The Black Hebrew Israelite movement is divided into organizations or sects. Okay, I shouldn't just be reading
What's the disclaimer? Not all of these people are anti-Semitic. So black Hebrew Israelites are largely anti-Semitic? Is that
I don't know about largely, because I don't know if there's been a poll, but yeah, I think their main views are super anti-Semitic. Because they're
you're identifying with Israel and you're anti-Semitic?
Well, they're the black people. Gosh, I'm definitely gonna
maybe we just shouldn't. Maybe we just shouldn't, man.
No, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It's fine. They don't give a shit what a white guy says. They hate us. They hate white people. They don't just hate Jews. They hate white people a lot of times.
Well, Kanye hates everyone.
Kanye doesn't hate white people. I don't even know if he hates Jews. He might.
Lots of Hollywood and superstar people hate Jews.
Lots of
hating
Hollywood
on Jews,
people are Jews.
Hating Jews is the only thing that both leftist and rightist extremists agree on.
100% it is.
You go far enough left, you end up with the Palestine supporters, the people that are, Israel is a disgusting abomination that needs to be destroyed, right?
Yeah.
You go far enough right, all right, you get Nazis.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Nazis are on the right. Well, they're on the right-ish.
I would definitely say
they're definitely more authoritative. It's not I just don't like the two axis or the one axis thing. Farther right than the Nazis would be monarchist.
I guess.
But the left to right divide is like an economic divide. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's like, so
sure.
that's what I'm saying when I say that.
Sure.
The Nazis, like, being more right to me doesn't mean more. Okay, so what is
Let's
true?
talk
though,
about this. Let's talk about this.
The more extreme aspects of the right wing and the more extreme aspects of the left wing are both anti-Semitic. So maybe I wouldn't call them more right, but they are more extreme, and they are members of the right, I would call them. But being more right-wing doesn't mean more racist, because it's an economic axis.
Well,
unless you're not looking at it from an economic axis.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make the argument that in the U.S., further right is further nationalist, for sure.
Well, but that's not because that's associated with the right wing. That's because the right wing party in the U.S. is considered to be more nationalist.
Yeah,
the Soviet Union was very nationalist as well.
Yeah.
But they're very left wing, and that's because it's an economic axis.
Sure.
So, like, nationalism is more associated with this other, the political compass is not perfect, but like more nationalism is associated with authoritarian.
If there was a Nazi, if you plucked a Nazi out of 41, right?
Sure.
And you put him in the U.S., gave him citizenship, which way is he voting?
But that has to do with parties, not the political spectrum.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I'm serious. It's parties, not the political spectrum.
Yeah, I agree.
So, like, yes, it is the right-wing party. So it is the extreme... actually, I don't fucking think that the Nazi would vote at all, frankly. They would be disgusted. Like, both the parties would be doing... I don't think they would recognize a difference between the right and the left wing. I don't think they would.
No?
No.
I mean, educate him. Bring him up to snuff,
I mean...
Then where's he voting?
I think that if it's a Nazi, a true Nazi, not like a neo-Nazi who might have varying levels of anti-Semitism, he's probably going to be very anti-Semitic. And he's probably going to look at the Republican and the Democratic Party and be like, you guys got a bunch of Jews in here. What the fuck?
There's not that many Jews that are Republicans.
It doesn't have to be that many.
It just has to be
a few.
Shapiro.
But it just has to be a few. I don't know how many Jews there are. Let's look it up.
Yeah, let's find out.
What percentage of federally elected... God damn it. I'm going to get on a list.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many.
You're going to start getting fucking Kanye West music marketed to you in Google ads.
Okay, here's the religious makeup. Okay. So... Wow, okay. Jewish is... it doesn't say it by party, but 6.2% of Congress, 2% of the U.S. population.
Damn, maybe we are taking over.
I mean...
That's pretty overrepresentation.
It's 3 times overrepresentation, but it's less than 10%, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow. No. You're totally right. There are only 2 Jewish Republican members of Congress. And there's 6 Mormon members of Congress, and they're all Republicans.
Does that surprise you, though?
It does, a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, Republicans are historically like a Christian party. I mean, as much as we like to pretend that there's separation of church and state, Republicans have always been pushing.
I think that both parties were like that for a long time.
Sure, okay, but
in more contemporarily, yeah, the Republicans.
In my lifetime, it's always been.
Is our Indian food getting here? Oh,
I think it's here.
Okay, cool. Well, let's take a little break. Okay, we had Indian food, and I have to shut off Lilo and Stitch. I'm gonna put on Lilo and Stitch the series, but yeah, dude. I think we were all over the place. I think I'm gonna be listening back to this. I gotta figure out how to do this well. But we were talking about
how anti-Semitic the Republican Party is.
I mean,
there's like 2 Republicans,
yeah,
that are Jewish, and there's like 6 Mormons, which is just crazy.
Yeah. It's a lot, but I didn't.
So I stand by my statement that if you plucked a Nazi out of 1941, plopped him into the U.S. today, he would be more likely to vote Republican.
Yeah, probably. Now, what would happen if you took a Stalinist communist out of the USSR?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's just as likely to vote for the Democrat.
Just as likely? Yeah, probably.
Just as likely as the Nazi to vote for a Republican. I think in both cases, they're probably not going to like either party. But, like, it's a different system.
Mm.
But I think what we were talking about is that, like, the more... Like, okay, the name of the Nazis was the National Socialists. And
yeah, I know.
People like to step around that.
I think that's a meaningless term, honestly.
Okay.
Because who was Hitler's number one enemy when he was in power?
Communists.
No.
Definitely communists.
Even greater than that in his own country. Democratic Socialists was the first people that Hitler went after to secure his power.
Yeah.
Democratic Socialists. So if we're just applying the word socialist so broadly that we say they were the National Socialist Party, then it loses meaning.
But the socialist part has to do with their economic policies. And also, like, the communists, who was the communist first enemy? Who was the Bolsheviks' first enemy?
I don't know.
The Mensheviks, other communists.
Okay.
Like, communists hate other communists.
All right.
They do, and socialists. They do. If like the only thing that a leftist hates more than a rightist, than a righty or whatever, is a different kind of leftist.
Yeah, but I would say that the Democratic Party in the United States is democratic socialism. It represents democratic socialism more than it does any other type of socialism.
Okay, but
which
in the
is the
same
type
way
of socialism that ran most counter to Hitler's ideals. So saying that,
but
Hitler
the Republican Party is also democratic.
Fine, yeah, but fine. But my point is that saying that the Nazis were literally named after the National Socialist Party, and people like to skirt around that, is kind of meaningless because one of their biggest enemies were democratic socialists. So if you just take the word socialism and paint it with broad strokes,
they were a different kind of socialist. Is the thing? They're a different kind of it. Just like
yes.
The Bolsheviks, they were a different kind. So
but my point is that if current day Democrats are democratic socialists, then
no, I'm not saying those are related at all. What are you saying?
What are you saying?
I don't.
You were saying that people like to skirt around the fact that
what I'm saying is that the Nazis weren't really a right-wing party.
Economically, no.
And so what?
Economically, no. But
what does the left and right divide? I need to do a whole episode on this. But what does the left and right divide mean? Like, where does it come from? I know the answer. Do you know the answer?
What do you mean? Where does the left and right divide?
Like, what does left and right mean?
Are we still speaking? Are we talking about Democratic versus Republicans in American politics?
No, I'm talking about left wing versus right wing, and in America, that is often associated with the Democrats on the left and the Republicans on the right. But like comparing it from two different countries across different cultures and different times, it's really hard to make a strict comparison between the two.
Yeah, of course.
Left and right comes out of the French Revolution, where there was the left side that supported like reform, or not reform, but even like significant reform, and then the right side that wanted the monarchy. So in a lot of ways, left is for progress, and this can be you can decide in a lot of different ways what left and right means, but left means progress and right means keeping with the old system.
Yeah, I mean that's what the terms liberal and conservative refer to.
Right. So then, like, what's right wing about the Nazis? I mean, they were a new thing.
The only thing
the right wing people hated them too. Bismarck didn't like it.
The only reason you can draw parallels between right and left and the Nazis is that I think you can draw parallels between some of the fascist practices and cult-like practices of current-day American Republican parties of the American Republican Party.
It sounds like now you're talking about populism, though.
I am.
But what about but cult-like things? That's not a specific to a right-wing.
No, but you asked me how we could draw parallels, and I said that's the only parallel you can draw.
Oh, okay.
There isn't anything inherently right-wing about cult or populism, cult practices or populism. It's just the way things are right now.
Yeah. The way she goes.
Yeah.
We never read Kanye's tweets, and I never said what the Black Hebrew Israelites were.
No. Do we know?
The Black Hebrew Israelites, they think that they're Jewish. And the way that Kanye described it, I was like, oh, crap, you kind of got, that's a weird interpretation. That's why that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just going to read the Wikipedia page, which can be very biased, but groups of African Americans who believe they are descendants of the ancient Israelites. Some subgroups believe that Native and Latin Americans are descendants of the Israelites as well. Black Hebrew Israelites combine elements to their teaching from a wide range of sources. Incorporate Christianity and Judaism. Yeah, so they think they're they're not associated with the mainstream Jewish community. And a lot of them are anti-Semitic because they think that other Jews are false Jews.
Oh.
Because
okay.
Kanye, when he was talking to Lex Friedman, who's Jewish, by the way, I was listening to this and I wish I had written down what he said. Yeah.
They sound like such a fringe group that I don't really care what they think. Is that
they're very
weird to
fringe.
say?
They're very fringe.
Is that weird for me to say, though?
No, but
you can be anti-Semitic all you want. There's 5 of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but the fringe groups there's something to keep an eye on. And I think a lot of the times what happens is that when the situation gets ripe for them to take power, they exist and then they can expand quickly when there's a situation like the Weimar Republic.
I don't think there's too many black Israelites that are waiting for their moment.
I think I don't think it's a national security issue right now. Although I do think the FBI and I know the ADL looks into them. Excuse me, as a hate group. But let me just read this. 144. December 2019, the Southern Poverty Law Center, they identify hate groups, lists 144 Black Hebrew Israelite organizations as black separatist hate groups. So a lot of these guys are black separatists. They're Black Nationalists. They want to have their own black state.
Yeah.
Because of their anti-Semitic and anti-white beliefs. Tom Metzger, a former Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, reportedly said they're the black counterparts of us. High praise from the Grand Wizard, the
Grand
KKK.
Wizard. What a dope title. You said you wanted to talk about titles today, didn't you?
Oh, my... No, my next episode is going to be about titles.
Well, Grand Wizard's a great starting place.
It is ridiculous.
You'd be the fucking Imperial Dragon or whatever. It's just crazy.
You're the Imperial Dragon of the racists.
Yeah, that's so dope.
What do you do for a living? I'm the Imperial Dragon of the most racist people.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't do a redneck accent when I do that. But yeah, that's high praise.
Awesome.
If you're the Grand Wizard, a former Grand Wizard, I don't know if that's the Grand Wizard or a Grand Wizard.
Yeah.
But if you're one of those dudes, and you like some black guys, that's high praise, right? They're the black counterparts of us.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, white nationalists and black nationalists, you'd think they'd hate each other because they're both white people are the best.
No, because they want separatism.
Right.
Yeah.
Their goals are aligned.
Yeah, they don't believe in integration. They both want to be separate. Yeah.
So and I think a lot of them, and there's a famous picture that I got to pull up of one of the American Nazis. American Nazis at a Nation of Islam rally. And number one, both of these groups are anti-Semitic, right? So
everyone is. We know that.
Any extremist group is going to be anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
So, but it makes sense. The American Nazis, what's his name? Yeah, Elijah Muhammad. I thought this was a famous picture. why can't I see it? But they're at the Lincoln Rockwell, that freaking guy. George Lincoln Rockwell and a couple other Nazis. They were guests of Elijah Muhammad or Louis Farrakhan at this Nation of Islam rally, and they both hate Jews, and they want white people to be separate. And you know, the idea from these black nationalists who want their own black country is that, well, all white people want to kill us, kill black people. So, you know, at least they're honest about it, and their goals are aligned.
All white people want to kill black people, and all black people want to kill white people. But both white and black people want to kill Jews.
Inshallah, brother. Yeah. Okay.
I tell you, we're fucked either way. Everyone hates Jews.
I mean, just, dude, just got to integrate into white people.
We're pretty well integrated.
Yeah, but...
You watch Fox News, don't you?
No?
No.
Of course not.
I didn't think you did.
Okay.
But...
Yeah, I don't watch Fox News. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch MSNBC. I don't even like ABC or NBC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anti-Semitism is a thing. Okay, let's talk about military culture now.
Wow, hard fucking transition there.
Unless you have something else to say about
No, I have nothing to say.
Anti-Semitism, American Nazis.
There's nothing to be said. Everyone knows. Everyone already feels it in their hearts that they hate Jews, so...
You said it, not me, man.
What do you want to talk about in the military?
Yeah, so we had started to talk about a few things, but the first thing that we had brought up... Well, okay, so both of us were in the military. I don't know if I've directly said that I was in the military, but I was in the Marine Corps for a few years ago, and then Ben here is in the National Guard.
Yeah.
And... so my perspective is a little stale and old, but, you know, a little bit. And neither of us are like, you know, we're not snipers or anything.
No,
Really
I've never seen any form of combat.
Neither have I. One time some Iranian guys pointed a gun at me, but it was like from a boat onto a ship. That was the most action I ever saw.
Yeah. I probably got blinded by a Chinese person on a boat somewhere in Djibouti.
Blinded?
Yeah, they shine lasers at you or something.
Do they really?
Yeah. I don't know if it actually happened to me. I'm just saying.
Did that happen in Djibouti?
No, it was something we were told to be careful for.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't think the Iranians ever shined lasers. They just come up with like tiny boats with machine guns on them.
Djibouti's weird because it's not totally our stomping ground there. Like, there's Chinese warships in the port.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
You know?
It really is.
It is
Must
weird.
be some crazy shit going on there.
Yeah, the Chinese are expanding rapidly there. They just finished, a Chinese builder just finished a deep water port in Nigeria.
There is a lot of Chinese neocolonialism going on in Africa.
Yeah, there's a ton of it.
They're betting on it.
It's like their biggest, it's like their most, what would you call it? Yeah, it's their biggest vested interest, really, in any other country right now.
Any other continent?
Yeah.
Or Djibouti specifically?
Continent, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, besides Asia itself, I think. Because they're doing a lot in the South China Sea. They're building new islands. There's a lot going on in that the Chinese are doing, and I don't think people are paying enough attention to it.
No.
If I could praise President Biden for a moment. I don't even know if I've shit on Biden on this podcast yet, but I wouldn't say I have a positive opinion of him, but I'm pretty sure the CHIPS Act is pretty good. Because having those chips for, cars and electronics, that is a national security issue.
Yes, it is.
And, I think everyone is kind of at this point scared that China is going to invade Taiwan, and I don't think we're going to do anything about it.
No.
So,
no, fuck no.
Although Biden did also say that we would do something about it.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know if he actually meant to say that.
Great to say, but...
Yeah.
Sorry.
But the U.S. military, not saying anything about our personal opinions, and maybe we'll give our personal opinions later, but the U.S. military is not a defensive force. It's an offensive force. Like the U.S.
It's an invasion force.
It's an invasion force. It's meant to project offensive power elsewhere, and that's supposed to be, and it was for a very long time, a deterrent. And that's how the U.S. military has always been, actually. You know, after the Revolutionary War, you know...
Yeah, we've never had to fight anything on our own soil. Why
besides
would we?
the War of 1812.
Right.
You know, and so the U.S. military has for its entire time been expansionary and projecting power overseas.
Yes.
And for a lot of that times, that was, you know, wars in the Indian territories, the Indian Wars, as they're called. And that's essentially foreign territory. And Mexican-American War, it's just expansion. And then it turns into colonialism, attacking, you know, Cuba, Spanish-American War, their Philippines, Cuba, Puerto Rico. And then World War I, World War II, you know, it's just...
Yeah, it's always been... Yeah, ever since
it's
1812.
always been like that for
Yes.
more than 200 years at this point. So one of the things that happened in 9/11, when 9/11 happened, like, the U.S. military is not equipped to defend the United States. Like, that's not what it's meant to do. That's not what it does. And culturally, the U.S. military can't really operate in the same way on U.S. soil as it can overseas. And there's very good reasons for that. And it comes down to, like, the Bill of Rights and how they formed the Constitution and how the Founding Fathers created the Constitution in order to limit the power of the Army that they kind of didn't even want.
Yeah, I would make the argument that the U.S. exists as an invasion force out of kind of necessity because we don't... Excuse me. I've neglected to mention I'm sick before I got here.
You what?
I'm sick, yeah.
You got COVID?
Leukemia, actually.
Oh, that's fine. That's not contagious. I'm good.
I don't have leukemia. We're geographically blessed, right?
Yeah.
Well, we sure have been ever since we took the rest of this portion of the continent from the natives, anyways.
Yes. It was free real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's true.
I'm third generation American. Don't blame me.
I don't think that it's easy. I don't think you can say the U.S. is ill-equipped to defend its own territory.
Well, I think it's not designed to do that. I'm sure that we could.
I think that the practice we have in place, you know, tactically, logistically, would work.
But that's specifically what the National Guard is for, right? I mean, in a certain way. Not really, because you guys don't do training for, like, home
Not
defense.
really. No, the National Guard, yeah, is a militia.
It's not a militia.
It is.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
No, I don't like that.
It is.
It's not a militia.
It is a...
Why is it a militia?
It's owned by the state.
But militias aren't owned by the state, like, explicitly.
The state... a militia exists...
Your uniform says U.S. Army on it. It's not a militia. That's a regular... A militia is distinctive from a professional army.
Dude, when I...
A militia is not a professional army. The National Guard is a professional army.
Yes. Because
in
because
theory.
the federal government partially funds us.
Right, and controls, like, everything. The point of a militia is that it's just made up of the male population. They're not professional soldiers. That's the point of a militia. So you're not a militia.
But what is the purpose of a militia?
Well, when they were first starting in America, it was to kill Native Americans, frankly.
Okay.
In the sense that there was, like,
all right, but what
genocidal war between Native Americans and settlers.
In the Constitution, a militia is referred to, right?
In that context...
The Bill of Rights, I guess.
Right. But that's the Constitution.
Yeah.
But the militia, in that sense, what it meant was all the able-bodied male population of the area, because that was what it meant when you were fighting extermination wars.
This is a well-regulated militia. How do you regulate a militia if it's only non-professional soldiers?
But it's not... That's not, the term regulated at the time meant something different. It meant, like... It didn't mean, like, regulated... A well-regulated militia meant... God, it meant something else. Let me see if I can look this up.
I stand by the fact that the National Guard serves both as a militia and as a...
It can't be a militia if it's a professional army, and it is, though.
I think
serve under the federal structure.
I think that definition is lacking. I do.
So a well-regulated militia in this sense...
I'm not completely a professional soldier, right?
You don't have to.
I'm a citizen 27 days out of the month.
You get paid.
A civilian, excuse me.
You get paid. You're not a civilian. You can't be a civilian if you're in that. If you were a militia member, would be a civilian. You're not a civilian just because you don't have it on at that time. Like,
but I literally am most of the time. I don't fall under federal status most of the time. I don't.
You're not subject to the UCMJ when you're not activated, when you're not on orders. Aren't you subject to the UCMJ?
I might be, but I would be tried in a civilian court. Like,
but you're subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice, right?
I also am, yeah.
Right.
And subject to civilian court.
But you're okay. But someone in the military, the active duty military, is subject to the UCMJ as well as civilian courts.
Yeah.
But if you're subject to the UCMJ, that means based on the way the Constitution is written with military courts, like the military courts that are written into the Constitution, they are for like federal troops. So if you're subject to the UCMJ, that means you're subject to federal laws, which means that you can't be a militia. It's distinct from the Army, and you're too much in the Army.
I don't know.
You're in the chain of command for the regular Army.
I am, but I'm
ultimately
also in a separate chain of command for my state.
But who's going to win out in that situation?
That's a different conversation.
But that's the point, because the militia is supposed to be it's supposed to be existing to defend, like, it's against the checks and balances of the country if the National Guard is considered a militia, but it's controlled by the federal government.
My point is that I have two commander-in-chiefs. Okay? When you swear an oath in the National Guard, right? When you enlist, you swear your allegiance to the President of the United States of America. You do. When you join the active duty Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I literally say, and the governor of Connecticut.
Okay, but the governor of Connecticut is subject to the President of the United States. So, like, it's kind of redundant. I don't think
you can really say that.
I mean, when the South tried to secede...
The checks and balances actually kind of ensure that the governor is not subject to the president. Like, that's the point of...
See, but this is a murky situation. This has never happened in America, but it could happen where the National Guard, and this happened in some HBO TV show, the National Guard just goes rogue. And like the National Guard of California, the officers in the National Guard, and they're successful, they decide that they're going to fight against the federal government and they're going to do their own thing. But like, it's not that clear. The well-regulated militia that's referred to in the Second Amendment, they're referring to all the male population in the country.
I know. I understand that.
So that's a different thing than what you're doing.
But you say that the difference between a militia and an army is whether or not you're a professional soldier. And I think you can make a pretty clear distinction that the federal control of a unit is what makes them an army, a standing army. Whereas the ability for my unit, for example, to operate independently of a federal government kind of puts it in the area of a militia.
Militias aren't paid.
Sure.
Professional athletes are paid.
I get
Amateur athletes aren't paid.
I get it.
That's the professional I'm talking about.
So if during the Revolutionary War they gave everyone $5 for participating?
During the Revolutionary War, there was the Colonial Army, and then there was militias. The militias, I don't think they were paid.
Okay. And if
the militias were just called up.
And if the guy that called them up gave them each a $5, then you'd say they're not a militia anymore?
They wouldn't be regular army.
I just think it's an unimportant distinction.
They would be irregular troops.
I think it's an unimportant distinction because this isn't my living.
Well, I guess the distinction that I'm talking about is the distinction for like having like what I'm saying is I don't think that the National Guard should be considered to fill the role of a militia in our culture, because I think that the concept of a militia being all the male and honestly at this point female able-bodied population, I think that should be considered a distinctive thing. So like, you consider yourself a militia all you want, as long as you also I think, recognize the need for non-professional, like, and we don't really even have this anymore because of this, because I think people think that the National Guard fills this role. The need for a God damn it, I lost it. Distracted. I got to take my watch off.
I just a National Guard exists to protect the state, in addition to being a force that the federal government can be used.
But it doesn't protect the people. Well, in a lot of cases, yes, it does protect the people of the state. But like, the U.S. government is conceived in order to protect against the power of itself. Yes. And those abuses can happen at the state level too. So
they can, and a militia could exist. You could call up a militia that could absolutely act against the interests of the people that's being called up from. But again, another part of the National Guard is like, you're part of the Connecticut National Guard. You live in Connecticut. Those are your people. That you work in Connecticut. You live in Connecticut. Your family's in Connecticut. Those all serve as...
Yeah, I get that. But the militia should be everybody. Everybody that can fight. Everybody that can fight.
I disagree.
That's what it was back then. It was all able-bodied men.
I get that. But what if you need certain men to perform certain necessary tasks that will keep that militia going? Like, for example, Those would be a part of the militia. Okay, but what I'm saying is that I don't understand why the distinction is so important. All able-bodied men. If you want to get into the discussion of whether or not there should be mandatory service, then we can talk about that.
This isn't about mandatory service. It's about, like, the only reason that militia was called up a lot, and that militia was called up a lot because there were existential threats.
Sure.
To, like, and the existential threats are the Native Americans that were fighting an extermination war against the English. And when I say an extermination war, I mean that both the English were trying to exterminate the Native Americans are trying to exterminate the English.
Yeah,
and there's different Native American
One of those groups was in much greater threat than the other. But
the what?
I said one of those groups was in much greater threat than the other, but sure.
Yes, yeah. It's always lopsided in the same sense that the Israelis are a much greater threat than the Palestinians.
Absolutely.
Right, because the Israelis are the ones killing and taking over all the land of the Palestinians.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What's that have to,
what?
What does that have to do with anything?
I'm just saying there's parallels.
All right.
Okay.
That swastika is really playing its role.
It's one swastika, and it's in the wrong direction.
Okay. It means peace, okay?
It does. It's an old ancient Hindu symbol. But so, like, there wouldn't be as many. The reason we don't still have a militia is because our not in particular my ancestors, but, like, metaphorically Connecticut's ancestors, the people who lived here, they killed and subdued the Native Americans, and I don't think that that's a great thing, but it's what happened, and that happened with the militia. The militia was a big part of that because this was an existential threat and everybody had to be involved. And so the militia as an institution kind of dies out. And I think with it comes, like, when a lot of, and there were a lot of other things that were happening at like over the last 200 years, but that's like, it degrades a sense of community that, like, that all the people, all the able-bodied men in the area, and I'm sure the women were doing something similar, were coming together when they needed to, but they never need to anymore, so they're not going to do that. If we were fighting people all the time, it's just not as violent anymore. There's not any existential threats in the local area. There's no Native Americans coming in. There's no terrorists. ISIS isn't operating in the next town over.
Yeah.
So this goes away, but there's no need for it right now, but there will eventually be a need for it. And I don't know if that will be in our lifetimes, but, like, the idea that there will be a war in New England at some point.
Yeah.
There will, right? Like,
I don't know. You could definitely make the argument that there's a reality where New England ceases to exist before there's ever invader brought to our.
But how's New England going to cease to exist?
I don't know. They cede from the U.S. The U.S. collapses.
Well, yeah, but
You know.
okay. So I mean, New England as a geographical area. The area that we're living in.
But we're not really talking about geographical areas, are we? We're discussing
New England
cultural
would exist.
defense here.
New England will exist as a cultural entity until some sort of war wipes it out. There will be some sort of violence associated with that. There has to be, right?
Maybe.
I mean,
With the way climate change is going, being coastal, who knows?
that shit's not real.
Might be underwater
I
before
don't
that
think
ever
so,
happens.
man. I think we'd already be underwater by now.
Why?
If that stuff's actually happening.
You actually don't get the fuck out of here. Are we getting into this?
No, we're not.
Okay.
We're not going to do that.
Jesus Christ.
So we're an offensive force. That's how we got on this. I think we talked for like the last 20 minutes about this. The U.S. military is an offensive force. They're not meant for defense.
We are. No, it's not. And then I made the point that we could. It's not like we can't defend our soil. It's not like there's a difference in our strategic and logistical not prowess, but capabilities.
Yeah.
That would somehow not translate to a defensive posture. But no, we do exist as an invasion force.
If you go to France, I went to the airport in France, and I swear to God, 4 soldiers got off of an elevator with submachine guns, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I thought I was about to get like, for about half a second, I swear to God, I thought I was about to get obliterated like
Just
that.
no Russian.
Like
fucking,
no Russian. Yeah.
Dude, just
I was like,
mowing through
oh
the crowd.
shit. And then they were just like standing there, and they were just like they didn't think anything. Like I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh wait, I guess this is normal here. I had forgotten.
Yeah, and when I was in Belgium, they had some dudes rolling around with rifles,
And it's
assault
weird that
rifles.
they would view us as the ones obsessed with guns, but they have soldiers with machine guns,
Well,
submachine guns.
yeah, but their civilians don't roll around with submachine guns. That's the difference.
Yeah, but historically, militaries operating in their own territory have been like a threat to the people a lot of the time.
Sure.
That's why we don't have them. That's why it doesn't happen in America.
What?
That's a cultural thing. That's the Fifth Amendment.
That's
dude.
why what doesn't happen in America.
That's why we don't have like a standing army operating in our airports. There's no federal troops that
No, we have the
patrol our
TSA,
airports.
bro.
Yes. And the TSA is part of Homeland Security, and it was created in response to the attacks on September 11th,
Yeah.
2001, because the military cannot defend the country because it's not culturally acceptable in the sense that the U.S. military can't operate within the United States.
I don't
The
think it
people would not
needs to.
accept
I
it.
don't think it needs to.
That's why we have
You're gonna have the
Homeland
102nd or the 101st like strolling around fucking
Exactly.
North Carolina. Like,
I
why?
100% am down. I agree with you. I'm not arguing that it's a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's just what happened.
Yeah.
But it's culturally of note because other countries aren't like that.
I guess not. Yeah.
No, it's good. But now we have Homeland Security, so we have the TSA, and then the Coast Guard, which is considered a military branch.
Speaking of the French, I guess you're not 100% right about that, are you?
What?
Like the French definitely trains partially as an invasion force, don't they? Like there's a reason they run the French Desert Commando course in Djibouti, right?
Well, I'm sure that they train as an invasion
And
force.
Djibouti
I didn't say
is,
they didn't.
Djibouti is a French colony, you know.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're not an offensive force. I mean, they attacked Libya too.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah.
They've
The
attacked
French,
a lot of places.
French is super imperialistic, historically speaking.
I think they've done something like 50 something coups in Africa since like World War II.
Yeah, them and
I didn't say they
them in
weren't
Belgium
offensive.
Probably just like totally wreaking havoc over there.
Yeah, Belgium just had the one though, right?
Is that the Congo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the French. I'm not saying they're not offensive. I'm just saying that they have troops that operate on their land, which is not true for the U.S. We don't do.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Except for like nuclear sites or something, we have
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, but not like public places.
No.
Yeah, not like you wouldn't be walking around the airport. But yeah, then after 9/11, Homeland Security gets created, and the Coast Guard is under the Homeland Security.
Yeah.
Now they are. They used to be under the Department of Transportation for some
weird.
reason. I guess that was because the Homeland Security wasn't around. But they used to be under the Department of Defense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just happy I could be here to contribute to your worst episode yet.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know if it's good or not. It probably sucks. I'm going to listen back to it and be like, this is terrible. I'm never having Ben on again.
Yeah, I would understand.
No, I'm just kidding. That would never happen because, we're 7 episodes in. I think, I'm going to need to do, 30 episodes before I even take myself half a bit seriously. We're at 110 minutes. This is 110. 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This will already be my longest episode.
Damn.
You want to end it here or you want to keep talking?
God, what have we discussed?
Fuck if I know, dude.
We haven't said anything of substance.
Yeah, I think this is the bad thing that can happen with a podcast.
Yeah.
Is that it just turns into a conversation that has no...
This is of no benefit to anybody listening.
It probably isn't.
Yeah.
It's probably completely worthless.
It's totally worthless.
I'm going to put it out anyway.
Okay.
I'm going to have people tell me, and nobody is probably going to give me real feedback.
Well, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
It's fine. If I keep doing it long enough with the right attitude, then, hopefully I'll actually make something that is of some sort of value to somebody, at least entertainment value.
Yeah, the one's definitely had... I came here and I was like, I think your podcast could use a little more focus. And then I walked into this room and I was like, here's 1,000 fucking different conversations for us to talk about, none of which have any relevance to each other. And
it's really hard, isn't it?
now here we are.
It's a hard fucking thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would just write down some bullets,
That's what we did.
What bullets did we have?
Driver's license, boat people, Kanye dash
That's
a Jew,
already a
mark.
broad list of conversations.
This isn't how I do the solo episodes, man. I'm trying to figure this out, okay? It's hard because I tried to do an episode and I tried to have it pretty structured, but that just made it just wasn't natural.
Yeah.
So it sucked. I didn't even release that one. So we got the bullet points and we had stuff to talk about, but I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad.
Maybe it's not.
I don't think people have that high of standards anymore, man. Pretty sure, only 10 people listen to this anyway.
Yeah, but you want more to listen to it.
Yeah, I want more to listen to it, so I got to improve. But it's okay to suck right now. I'm supposed to suck at it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to talk about?
Why did I write down Elon Musk?
I don't know.
Was this an autism thing?
No, we were talking about. That's yours.
Yeah, I know.
You're talking about something with Elon Musk. Those followers are a bunch of loonies that don't see what a nut job he is.
I think most people at this point are
kind of coming around.
riding his dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to like the guy years and
So
years
did
ago.
I. Yeah.
But no, the stuff he's doing with Twitter, I think is funny as shit, frankly. But it's not like I like him. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't remember why I wrote Elon Musk, but I have to piss, so I think we're gonna call it quits at 1 hour and 13 minutes.
All right.
All right.
If you don't upload this, I won't be offended.
No, I'm gonna upload it. It wasn't that bad, man. It's not dude. People have no expectations for me. It's fine.
Okay.
All right, we're done. Yeah, illegitimate.
Thanks
scholar.
very much for listening. It was a pleasure to be here.
No
Sam.
one got this far. Don't even bother saying.
No.
No. Thanks for coming. All right.